Welcome to Coreum Concepts. Thanks for coming by the channel today. First of all, I want to thank everybody that hit that subscribe button the last week. We blew well past our goal of 100, so now we're well on our way to our next goal of 1,000. So once again, thank you all so much for your support. It's been a great experience up until this point, and I look forward to providing more news information on the Coreum and XRP Ledger ecosystem. It's going to be an amazing year ahead, 2023. So thanks for joining me, and hopefully I can provide you some value in this video here today. It's going to be a good one. Coreum's currently coming in at 43.34 cents. It's had a little bit of pressure in the last 24 hours. The airdrop, the final airdrop for the solo holders for December has been distributed over the weekend here. So that's obviously created a little bit of selling pressure to bring it back down to the 43 cent mark, which is still a strong price for Coreum at this point. I don't think many people even know about it yet, so the fact that we're gaining momentum right now is exciting to see. So yeah, a little bit of pressure, but nothing to worry about. I think we're going to be continue on our march upwards here soon. I know last I heard, the X Heroes NFT project, they sold almost all of those NFTs and had another successful auction for the X Heroes Villains collection. So they're going to keep an eye out for them. They're at some point obviously going to be market buying a whole bunch of Coreum again. Last week when they did it, they bought 100,000 Coreum, and I think you can see where that spiked up the price there a bit. So yeah, it's going to be something to watch for in the days ahead too. So as stated, Coreum coming under some pressure at 43 cents, just over. Sologenics taking about even right now, last 24 hours. It's currently at 17.5 cents. XRPs broke below the 40 cent mark at 39.754, down 3.5%. And Bitcoin is 22,879, down a little bit, also down 1.93%, $451 on the day. So Sunday close is coming up here in a couple hours. So yeah, that's where we're sitting so far. The crypto total market cap has been holding above that 1 trillion mark here for the last several days. Gold and silver took some strong selling pressure here in the last 24 hours. Gold's at 1864, down 2.5%. Silver 2234, down 4.69%. And the DXY up 1.14% at 102.915. Checking in on the Coreum audit being done by Certic, it's currently at 34%. So it's continuing to move up day by day, so good to see. And as I mentioned earlier, the Coreum airdrop for the Sologenic holders for December, the final airdrop scheduled, was distributed through the weekend here, so everybody should have had their airdrop received by now. And then that's just going to leave the undistributed tokens left to distribute to the Coreum holders. I think they said in Q2. I think they're waiting to distribute that after the March 24th snapshot, so that they're not included in the snapshot, is the way I understand it so far. I'm sure we'll get some clarity from the team as that grows closer. Okay, in this clip, I just got to keep highlighting this original Core Council Twitter space. It wasn't recorded. I managed to have a bit of it here captured, but so much valuable information was contained within it, and with all the confusion and misinformation and FUD out there, to me this information has just got to get out there for people to hear and understand and get their head around what Coreum actually is and what they're trying to do and what the smart token is and what it could potentially be doing. So yeah, this is just my effort to get the word out. So it's about a 15-minute clip here. I'm just going to play through and let Reza describe why Coreum in his own words.
Going back to the why Coreum and what is Coreum, I think, you know, it kind of is funny when I say why Coreum and what is Coreum, because Coreum's out there, mainnet is scheduled and DevNet's there and all that stuff. But Coreum is really focused around assets. And I don't think there is any other blockchain that's currently capable of what Coreum is going to do. And that focus is essentially creating assets or having, being a hub as a blockchain for all the institutions, companies, banks, governments, CBDCs to come and start authoring their assets on Coreum blockchain.
Sounds good to me.
I think a couple of weeks ago, I announced that we are working on a new technology that will be announced soon, and that is a part of Coreum. So yes, we are still, all the details and everything is out. It's not out, it's done. It's probably in the code as well, but we haven't released the paper on it yet, and I think that's scheduled to go next week.
I'm going to, the paper's since been released, and that's what we're going to review after this video today.
I'm not sure exactly when the team has scheduled it.
Is this about the smart tokens?
It is.
Okay, because I saw a tweet from you and Bob that it's a new technology, revolutionary technology.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Can you share just bits and pieces of it without going too much in the technicals? Because I guess we'll leave it to the white paper for us to dig deeper.
Yeah.
But something that, how does it connect to the future of the financial system or enterprises? Can you share?
So before smart tokens, blockchains like Ethereum allow developers to basically create, any type of code and have it execute on, a virtual machine, EVM, and, produce results. And so it's a very generic purpose blockchain. But, companies, when they want to issue tokens, NFTs, FTs, any token, they need to create smart contracts. And so these smart contracts live on the blockchain, and for people or for participants to interact with them, they have to interact with these smart contracts, which is not very utilized. Users pay a lot of fees when they want to invoke a specific or certain function within a smart contract, because that function is unknown to the blockchain. And these functions, it could be as simple as basic send or payments. So let's say if you want to send, US Tether or any other ERC20 that lives on the Ethereum, you're essentially interacting with the smart contract that created that, coin, say US Tether. And if you want to send it to someone, you have to invoke a specific function called send in that smart contract. And when you submit a transaction, the transaction goes through the execution engine at the validators when they're executing the code. And so they don't know what that code looks like. So they have to consume gas. And it could be low gas, high gas, but that is a non-deterministic transaction. So you don't know whether that transaction is going to execute and succeed or run out of gas for whatever reason and don't. So financial institutions mainly, or those who are seriously thinking about blockchain, they can't rely on non-deterministic things. They need to understand if they want to execute a transaction, whether that transaction will succeed and how much fees do they need to pay for that transaction, so that they can batch transactions. They can plan in advance and see, whether it's worth submitting, thousands of
that batching transactions, that's going to be a key feature we talk about in the white paper when we go through it.
Transactions on the chain or not. So with, when again we're talking about financial institutions, I think, there's still a lot of hype around the ISO 20022 standard around communications between financial institutions like banks and anybody who's basically using, not even transmitting, but any sort of banking.
So for anybody that's into the ISO 222 coins, pay close attention to what you hear next. This is a game changer right here. Nobody's talking about this. So if you like the ISO 222 coins, pay attention. You're going to want to hear this.
Queries are defined within the ISO 222. So we decided to be the first chain, and this is very important because no other blockchain has the ISO 20022 integrated directly within the chain, and so we're doing that. Any other blockchain has it as an external system, which is either centralized or is not directly on chain, and the chain does not have the code. So if you look at every other chain that says yes, we are ISO 222, if you look at the source code, there's not even a mention of this standard. So it's just that they mention that yes, you can build applications, connect these applications to the blockchain, and in your application you can create ISO 222 compatible transactions, which is not what we wanted. And so while we were thinking about this, we came to the idea of smart tokens, because we had to deal with smart contracts, and these smart contracts were not really utilized for such transactions. When you're really thinking about ISO 222 transactions, just imagine if two banks, like Bank A, Bank B, two popular banks, start using the chain for, say, remittances or for transactions, for just regular send transactions. Imagine how many transactions are going to be there on the blockchain. There's going to be thousands if multiple banks start using the blockchain for that purpose. Because ISO 222 standard is, a regular send function with ISO 222 is not one transaction, is multiple transactions. For example, if you want to send, let's say Bank A wants to send funds to Bank B, to a specific customer, then Bank A needs to, specifically ask Bank B whether this customer is fine, in good standing. So that's one message, and then the Bank B one should respond, yes, we're good. That's another message, and then Bank A, I think that the number of transactions to complete one send transactions are not a single transaction. There are multiple transactions. So if you were to have these transactions as smart contract transactions, then that would take, a considerable amount of execution for the. Am I still here?
Yeah. We're listening. We're all listening.
Yeah. And so that's why we have the smart tokens. Smart tokens are designed for anyone. Let's say you own CBDC, you just come to Coreum and create your token. And, we have something called an ACL, which allows the token creator to customize that token, whether it requires KYC, whether it requires, whitelisting, freezing. There's a lot of different things. And let me just be frank about that. A lot of those ideas were inspired by the XRP ledger, because the XRP ledger is indeed very fully doing, transactions for banks. And we extended that. We wanted to make sure that, if a token is issued, the token creator has the capability to create any sort of token, whether that's a fungible token or a non-fungible token. You could literally just program tags, or you can do airdrops directly with the code, or you can define, if you're tokenizing a stock, you can program dividends directly within the token contract.
That's huge. Why is nobody talking about this? I don't know. I haven't had the opportunity to study everything that's going on out there, but to me, this is game-changing technology for the financial system. We know they're affiliated with Ripple. We know Ripple knows exactly what the banking system, financial system needs for a system to run on. This isn't meant to replace the XRP ledger. This is just enhancing it. They're going to be connected. It's going to be massive. And nobody's talking about this. Like, even the people that are supporting Coreum and investing in Coreum, I don't think they truly understand what Rez is trying to say here. This is, well, he said it in his words, revolutionary. Absolutely. This is going to change everything. So strap in.
So more details of smart tokens. I don't want to share a lot of information, because I want to make sure that everybody reads the paper, because that's very full and accurate. But that's pretty much what smart tokens are. They're very much, designed to solve complex token situations.
Yeah, in relation to that, I do have a question. We know that the traditional finance industry is witnessing a daily increase in advocacy towards both the distributed ledger technology and blockchain technology. We know from what you have just mentioned that for financial institutions, Coreum promises to considerable savings, probably in infrastructure, transactionality, administrative costs, and among others. My question there is, since you as a founder and creator of Sologenic and the tokenization of stocks, I understand from what I've read in the EGB page, which, I'm kind of like a geek and a nerd, that I try to also look into that. One of the use cases is capital markets. This is one of the biggest use cases I see for Coreum, which is the tokenization of the back-end processes that includes clearing and settlement, trade execution, could be asset documentation, among others. Can you explain more, at least the audience here, a lot of them would be educated, why Coreum is important and what's the importance also of Sologenic as a coin, a native coin?
So Sologenic is not a native coin on Coreum. In fact, Core Token is the native coin of Coreum. Coreum is an open blockchain. Anybody can build on Coreum. And we've seen so many different use cases. And these use cases are only limited by what we can think. So anybody can come and create an application or a use case on top of Coreum. And so Sologenic is one of the use cases. So Sologenic is an asset tokenization platform. And tokenizing things like securities and stocks, and they are pretty much complicated because they don't represent simple tokens. You have a lot of different functionalities in a stock market, for example, stock splits and dividends and all that stuff, that it's not easy to directly have them on chain or in a smart contract. So we are, as Sologenic as well, going to implement those use cases on Coreum. But for capital markets, for any other use case, we're really creating Coreum to be as open as possible for anybody to come and build on top.
Okay, are you still there, Reza?
Yes, I'm still here.
We're all excited. I'm sure we have a bunch of questions from the audience, and your time is also very precious, and we're happy that you were listening and joined the stage. But Principal Prosperity wants to ask a question.
Thanks, Albert. And you and Reza just both partially touched on what I wanted to ask, but I suppose we always talk about the three coins as the Holy Trinity. But for mine, the ultimate Holy Trinity could be an announcement of several things in succession, potentially the lawsuit, Sologenic's tokenization license, and the announcement and establishment of the smart tokens by Coreum. Wouldn't that be a fantastic Holy Trinity all at the same time?
Oh, that would be fantastic. I can't wait to hear those stuff, yeah.
Can't wait to hear. Excellent.
And just quickly, Reza, also appreciate your time.
The Holy Trinity. And that's what I think is important. There's a lot of efforts by a lot of different areas right now, from what I can see, to divide the XRP ledger community. And this is I think the whole point of Coreum. It's meant to be united with the XRP ledger, and the XRP ledger and Coreum in combination are going to rise Sologenic up. And I think once we dive more into this video here today, hopefully you're going to see some connections of why I think that way. But if you don't take what Reza says as bullish on Coreum, I don't know what I could ever say to convince you that this is a game-changing technology that's coming out, because he did a great job. There's more of that video. I'll put a link to the main video that I put it all on there, but always check out the Core Council Twitter Spaces, or you never know who's going to pop in, and that was an absolutely amazing one for Reza to pop in. But since then, in other ones, Bob Ross has popped in and spoke, and Fabio, and so yeah, it's a great opportunity to interact with the team and hear about what they're doing. Because I mean, I don't know why they're not marketing this better than they are. That's open to speculation too, I suppose. I have my own theories, but for what this technology is, there's not many people talking about it. There's not a lot of eyes on it. It's game-changing technology, revolutionary technology, as Reza says. And so yeah, that's why I started this channel, because I think our community, the XRP Ledger community's got to come around this. It's we can't let these outside forces divide us. I see it happening, and every project on the XRP Ledger enhances its value for XRP holders, whether it's Ripple, whether it's Sologenic, whether it's X Heroes, all combined adds value. So we gotta end this division and infighting, and quit being so distracted by these outside forces, because there's a lot right under our eyes we have to be thankful and look forward to, and I'm afraid it's being missed. I'm trying to shout from the rooftops. I'm an old guy living on a mountain that started a YouTube channel to shout it from the rooftops. So here I am. If you see this the way I do, just help spread the word, help let people know what's going on here, just so they understand, just so there's no misinformation. We can't go around tearing down other people's projects. It does us no good. Anytime we have an opportunity to speak in spaces or on Twitter or to our friends, family, use that time to speak to the good of what Coreum and Sologenic and the XRP Ledger has to offer. We're spending our time and energy fighting all these, and I think some of them are paid to cause disruption in this community. So hopefully we can all come together, and there's no risk for you XRP holders out there. You just got to set a trust line. Nobody's trying to sell you anything. Just set your trust line, get your airdrop tokens, and sit back and watch and see what happens. It's no risk at all. I just encourage not to dump them at the airdrop. Just hang on to them and see. You just never know. I've stated before in my earlier videos, and maybe for some of you that haven't seen them, that's why my logo is the way it is. It's got the three of them. I think it is the Trinity. I honestly think that Sologenic and Coreum is Ripple's research and development into DeFi, into areas that their customer base won't allow them to publicly explore and talk about because of their banking relationships. So, I could be wrong. This is just my idea. Feel free to leave a comment or a question in the comment section below, and I'm always willing to hear different opinions. But that's just how I'm looking at it, and I think the three of them combined are going to do fantastic things, and not just the three of them. I don't think it's just going to be XRP and or Coreum. It's going to be a combination of all these chains. But I think the key technology that, and I think Ripple's called it the rails, or the plumbing of the system, is the interledger protocol. And I think when you combine that with what Coreum's doing with the IBC connection with Cosmos ecosystem, you think of those Cosmos and the XRP ledger connecting through Coreum, which is aiming to be a hub for all the chains. Like, I don't know, I'm a patterns guy. I see these little things all coming together, and I kind of see a big picture at the end. So I'm always willing to hear other opinions, and I could very well be wrong. That's just how I've seen it. But I'm going to play a couple clips here coming up, and after we look at the white paper here, and hopefully you'll kind of see some of the things that I have to have me so excited about Coreum. Smart tokens, a highly customizable and cost-effective solution to tokenize complex, fungible, non-fungible, and hybrid tokens on the blockchain. Currently considered a proof of concept, this technology has become interesting for major sectors such as governments and financial institutions. Each entity is trying to utilize the blockchain to build real use cases such as DeFi applications. However, with the current technology and systems in place, it would be extremely inefficient for these actors to rely on non-deterministic transactions. So that's what Reza was explaining. There's just in a send transaction, there's actually multiple transactions that take place. And because you don't know if it's actually going to go through, it might run out of gas, whatever the case is, a bank or financial institution can't rely on that. So in here they just talk about, in this paper, they propose a new solution to tokenize different types of assets in the Coreum blockchain through the use of native tokens that are extended by smart contract functionalities, hence smart tokens. The blockchain was born out of the necessity for trustless peer-to-peer payment transaction system that would not rely on centralized third parties such as governments and banks. Over the years, the blockchain has evolved to provide complex applications using smart contracts. A smart contract is an executable piece of code that runs on top of the blockchain to facilitate, execute, enforce an agreement between parties without the involvement of a trusted third party. Smart contracts can represent assets such as fungible tokens, example US dollar, Bitcoin, non-fungible tokens, NFTs such as uniquely identifiable objects such as art, digital code, and blueprints, and hybrid tokens which might act as fungible and non-fungible tokens at the same time. Through smart contracts, each of these assets can have unique properties and functionalities. For example, fungible tokens, there exists an ability to mint more tokens, burn existing tokens, and transfer tokens between accounts. However, for non-fungible tokens, these functionalities could be extended to provide additional features to objects, such as representing a ticket as an NFT that could only be used once, remain transferable, or become non-transferable. Other types of NFTs could be used for KYC verifications, soul-bound NFTs for example. These would not be able to be transferred to any other accounts and would only be used for digital identity, onboarding, and account management. Okay, so previous to this, it just kind of briefly explains the limitations of the Ethereum virtual machine and how it's limited to a finite number of computations and the gas, and becomes a non-deterministic transaction. So we won't go through all that again. We will focus on the smart tokens. Smart tokens are natively issued tokens on the Coreum chain that are wrapped around smart contract. They are highly customizable and designed to be lightweight and flexible while remaining extendable. These tokens exist on the chain's storage memory, hence interacting with them does not require calling smart contract functions, and that's where Reza talks about the efficiencies. We can refer to smart tokens as objects and classes that inherit a set of characteristics and functions from the global definition of a token. All tokens have a set of features that are known to the chain. Developers can extend the set of provided functionality and add non-deterministic smart contract-like functions to achieve even greater flexibility when developing specific use cases into a token. So currently the following set of features is available for all smart tokens: issuance, access control list, burning, freezing, whitelisting, blacklisting, IBC, and smart contracted integration. And the IBC part we're going to touch on a little even more in depth after we get through this white paper. Upon token issuance, the issuer must configure the behavior of the token and set specific flags that will determine which functions can be triggered at a later stage. These flags are set using the ACL and are as follows. So it's just all those features that we talked about being programmable. These flags remain immutable after token issuance and cannot be changed at a later stage. Depending on the token type, these flags can be used to customize what asset needs to be represented by the token. For example, stablecoins, crypto, NFTs, stocks, CBDCs, and so on. So because the tokens once the token's issued on the chain, it understands what that token's capable of or what it can do. So it is imperative to understand the importance of natively issued tokens and default functions in terms of speed, cost efficiency, predictability, and security, and extendability. So basically all this, the speed, cost efficiency is, it's just all part of making it efficient, and it makes it into it fixes the non-deterministic problem that the Ethereum virtual machine has. And I think as far as security, I think that's what's going to be the game changer also, because all those transactions for each specific transaction don't have to take place because it's just programmed right on the token. That eliminates a lot of the security risk, in my opinion. Because if you hear of all these hacks, it's always the bridge. It's always the bridge that's getting hacked, it seems. So the bridge is just that communication. If that communication doesn't have all those steps and it can just be made into one efficient token transfer, to me it eliminates the risk. I'm not a tech expert by any stretch. That's just a layman's understanding of it. So if anybody wants to break it down in more detail in the comments, by all means go ahead. So in this part I find it's important too, especially for the financial institutions. When fees are always known, users such as institutions, governments, and other DeFi applications can predict how to handle batches of transactions. In addition, the Coreum blockchain offers a discount for bulk transaction submission, similar to how software as a service-based APIs work with a fee per API call and usage. When execution time, costs, and responses are known for transaction, users can develop much more robust, bug-free, and stable applications. Responses from the chain, whether successful or unsuccessful, are known and can be handled properly by developers. So as I was discussing there, security. One of the main aspects of issuing tokens natively on the Coreum blockchain is security. When using smart contracts, a developer must audit the code of the contract to ensure there are no security vulnerabilities. Over the past few years, hundreds of exploits have been found and abused in smart contracts, resulting in billions of dollars of losses to the operators and users. Smart tokens are not prone to these exploits because the code is known to be the same for all tokens on the chain. The code for the main implementation is audited several times and is opened by the public as open source code to be inspected and audited. Although an extension to the smart token, which comes in the form of a smart contract, must still be audited by the user, but the majority of the current use cases on the blockchain, such as fungible tokens and basic NFTs, can remain risk-free. And that's going to set it apart from a lot of the technology out there. Sure, some might catch up, some might be developing similar, but to me, they're setting the standard for what's to come next. And this is another key feature when we're talking about financial institutions using it. Smart tokens can be exposed to smart contracts for greater customization. Other than basic features such as sending coins and minting, which are provided by the chain by default, the smart contract functions attachment can define a set of new logic and features for a token. For example, one can develop dividend functions in a token that represents shares of a company, or an NFT can become extended to become interactive with the owner, such as an NFT that can act like a game. Burning. When this feature is enabled on a token, the holders of the token who have the right permissions will be able to burn some of the tokens they hold to reduce the total supply of that token. To give an example of use case, if shares of a company are tokenized, then the total supply will represent the total shares of the company on the chain, and burning those tokens would mean those shares are now moved out of the blockchain and total supplies will correctly represent that fact. So it talks about freezing, whitelisting. I think we all kind of have our heads around what that's all about. IBC, Inter-Blockchain Communication Compatibility. Assets are based on Cosmos modules and extend to the Cosmos IBC compatibility. Hence, they can be transferred to and from IBC-supported chains within the Cosmos ecosystem or outside it, given proper relayers are present. When an asset is transferred to another chain, it's represented as a tokenized version of the underlying asset in the Coreum blockchain. Smart contract integration. Integral part of the Coreum blockchain is support for deploying and executing smart contracts. The flexibility offered by smart contracts brings countless possibilities. We are connecting smart tokens to the flexibility of smart contracts, meaning that tokens might be issued and managed by the smart contract. Now, the behavior of the smart token might be driven by actions taken by ordinary people, departments of your organization, or even different ones cooperating together, meaning that the final action taken on the smart token might be the result of the process involving different actors following the transparent logic provided by the smart contract, leading to greater reliability. So yeah, that's a rundown through the Coreum smart token technical paper. To me, I'm not a tech guy, but as a layman going through that, I'm very excited to see what they're going to roll out here in just over a month. I think it's specifically designed for a use case that they're going to focus on, or maybe somebody that they're partnered with is going to take their technology and focus on, i.e. Ripple. I don't know, but you can go through this paper and clearly see that there's a heavy focus on institutional use. That seems to be who they are directing the information in this paper towards. So I just think, like I said, this is a better XRP ledger. I think they're all meant to work together, and they've just taken it to the next level with Coreum. Zen Lounge posted a video, Cosm Wasm Deep Dive number 2, Cross-Chain Think Interchain. Great video. He's a great resource to understand the overlap between Coreum and the Cosmos ecosystem. He's very knowledgeable on both, so definitely check out his videos. But this one here, building on Cosmos with Cosm Wasm with Ethan Frey. He played the clips from this video. I just want to make sure that the parts that really stuck out to me get highlighted. There's one thing just to watch a video, but sometimes I think there's some content in there that really needs to be talked about. So hopefully you'll see how it ties into what we've just went through the white paper and what Reza told us here. So my apologies, I guess it was the first video that he did in his series here about Cosm Wasm Deep Dive. So we will get to that video through here instead.
Got some exciting things cooking for you guys, and I'll be sharing real soon. See you next time.
It's out. And what I really see a differentiator and what I want to work on and what I am working on, besides like helping people, building tools and tutorials for people, is IBC. So interchain contracts. It's like I did this in Seoul and the hack at him. I demoed it and some people hacked on it, and like Jake did some and some guy from Taiki from Japan did another one. It's pretty awesome that you can basically deploy a contract on 2 different chains. They talk to each other with like no trusted bridges, no multi-sigs, nothing can be hacked in the middle of them. Just like pure guaranteed message passing with complete security of IBC. And the contract is told the app logic. Like if you send a message that says mint token or mint token or not, I don't know, or make a governance vote or control this DAO or change the threshold of my LP pool thing or whatever you want to do. It's kind of like interchain accounts, but like so much more powerful because you can actually write contracts on both sides. And that was not possible until you actually had multiple important chains running Cosm Wasm 1.0. And we were waiting for like 3-4 months ago. It was like, actually, okay, great. Like Juno, Secret, Juno's Moses are now 1.0 and Secret's upgrading very shortly. And I think those are 3 of the top chains behind the hub on the ecosystem in terms of market cap at least. And they're all running. Injective also is another big chain. They're also running it. So like a lot of people are running it now. So most of the chains at the hub are running Cosm Wasm, which means you can actually build a protocol that spans 3, 4, 5 chains using IBC messages and write the entire, not just your app logic, but actually the protocol communication there. That's like writing your own API servers and talking blockchain to blockchain with like no bridge hacks involved. And that's really what I see the future. And that's really where I'm going to put a lot of work into, not just building it, but also documenting, trying to explain it, but also trying to build these things out there because, hey, I'm trying to build something that doesn't exist yet. So it's hard to teach people tutorials when something doesn't exist. So I got to build this stuff first and then show you how to build it. But I've just built some prototypes out there and it's amazingly fast.
So I think one thing we did talk about before on this podcast, maybe some people have heard of or are aware of, is in Cosmos this concept of interchain accounts, which basically you have like an account on one chain and then you can control it from another chain. So let's say, for example, there's a project Quicksilver, right? And they're doing liquid staking with that. So that this Quicksilver chain can control an account on Cosmos. It can, the Cosmos Hub, it can, stake atoms, vote in governance, claim rewards, do all those things. And then, but it's controlled by another blockchain that, could then issue like a liquid staking token. So that's like an example of interchain accounts. There are obviously many examples. Now, what you're describing, right, is basically goes even a step further, right? Because you basically have like contract code on both sides. Whereas here it's kind of like, let's say in the Quicksilver example, it's kind of like contract code on the one side, right? And then on the other hand, it's just like a normal account. Can you talk a little bit about use cases? Like what are some of the things that...
So this part here is important, I think, as it relates to Sologenic. I can really see Sologenic using this technology. I don't know if they will, but just when I hear it, that's the first thing I think of when it comes to the Coreum and Sologenic ecosystem.
You could like you'd be interested in building, or you can imagine people building, these cross-chain Cosm Wasm apps?
Yeah, I will. So I think in some theoretical way with token transfer and interchain accounts, you may be able to build anything, may be able to. And interchain queries, if you add that, like those might be fundamental principles. Say these are holy principles, we can build anything with them. But they're inefficient to build a lot of things. So I think for staking is fine because you don't have to stake that often, right? Like you can just every 12 hours maybe pull out your money and restake it, right? It doesn't have to go so much. But let's say I have a lending protocol that's liquidated and DEX on another chain, right? The current way of, let's just say this
right here.
Right now, the existing protocols, assuming these all exist, interchain accounts, interchain queries, and token transfers. If I have a protocol here that wants to liquidate on a DEX over here, right? First, I move one message, move my tokens over here. I wait to get a response. Right now, you actually don't get a callback on the response. So you need a DAO to control it, and we're working with the IG team to you actually triggered a callback when it finishes. Then you say, okay, now make a swap with this interchain accounts to make a swap of that money to send over here for the other token, right? It may have succeeded or failed. If it succeeds, then I query to see actually how much did I get, right? The full amount I got, okay. Then call over here interchain accounts, you transfer the tokens back to get the tokens back, right? And that's a lot of here, make a request, get a response, make a request, get a response. These are all slow requests, right? In here orders the whole thing. Now let's say, hey, this is actually a common use case. This is not something you do once, this is something you're doing all the time, it's your business case. I want to deploy that, optimize that. I want to deploy a contract here and a contract here that what they do say is, they have their own protocol, which is move tokens, swap them at this price, and send me all the results back. If you don't make that price, if the money is too low, right, the price is if the market won't trade at this price, they return my original funds back, right? That's a really simple logic. A lot of people might want that. So, but we're not going to wait for Go code 6, 8 months, 12 months to build some new Go logic with this very specific use case integrated some DEX on this one chain. We say, no, we want to launch it now. So we can do it now. I wrote a query right now. We could do this very quickly. And basically say this, now we write these two contracts here. They do that. If you trust it, someone else can say, okay, here, liquidate at this price. It will send one message back, and then you get a call back, whatever, one IBC message. It will do this logic. And then you get a call back saying, okay, I liquidated this price, great stuff, or I failed to liquidate, and here's your money back, right? Like you get it right away. That I think will allow people to do integrations that you couldn't even conceive of. That's faster, right? This is faster, but then actually under conceive of, I want to go one more. So I'm working on something called WYND-DAO, WYND DAO, and I think the second stuff might be that first one. I'll throw as a demo. I'll throw as a prototype and give it to y'all. It's free stuff, right? We'll be doing this for you, everyone. I have a query uses IBC price oracle osmosis is implemented. I'm waiting for TWAP out there to be finalized. But the next one is this. I think is the next level of really deep integration. So imagine you have a DEX on one chain, and you want chain that DEX wants to launch a sub-DEX on another chain, right?
Here, this is actually what Sologenic, I think, really ties to what Sologenic could possibly do with the IBC technology. Listen close.
Its own separate liquidity, right? So it's going to have its own issue of liquidity, and it's going to be small. It's not really that popular. But actually, I have all the liquidity on their chain. But maybe I could actually not make a generic protocol that works for anyone, but I will make a special contract between my sub-parent DEX and my child DEX, which is like a permissioned IBC contract. Like an encrypted or authenticated IBC connection that just runs from my parent DEX to my child DEX, right? And I will move 1% of my liquidity over here, but I will keep the entire price information of all the rest of the liquidity over here. So here's actually the reference price. The reference price is here, right? And you actually have the full reference price here, and that's actually what you use. Over here, you will assume that you have that value, and you can trade a little bit of liquidity very quickly, just like an ATM or a branch bank. And so maybe it's a minute out of date of the actual price over here, right? And so you have a little slippage here, you can but you only can move a 1% liquidity. You only can pull a little liquidity out here. You can't pull too much out anyway, right? You can't pull too much over here. So if you run in it, you run in it, and it gets a new price update. But in the meantime, while things are not moving too heavily, you basically get immediately access. You don't have to call IBC swaps. You get immediate access like a local DEX, like immediate swap response right away, immediate responses from a DEX locally, with the same liquidity effectively as the parent DEX. So they basically shifted this as a branch bank that's able to provide virtual liquidity at much higher amounts and still safeguard against bank runs, which I think is pretty amazing. And this idea of protocols are not just like copying themselves over chains, or they're just like, okay, we're like kind of like something like that, like we just moved collateral over chains, but actually like integrating operations over multiple chains is, I think, a revolutionary concept that no one has really grasped or able to build out yet. So I think one project I'll be doing besides knocking stuff out, like, here's how you swap on a Juno Osmosis, this is DEX from Juno with an IBC message. And this has been in discussion for a while now, since Lisbon.
So if you didn't catch that, he used the same terminology as Reza did, is revolutionary. And I think we're dealing with a revolutionary technology. I think it's going under the radar for whatever reason. Maybe we'll do a video on that, just specifically as why the heck are they not talking about this and marketing it. It's their chain's going mainnet in just over a month, and the people you talk to online and on Twitter, like, they just have no idea what Coreum's about or what they're doing. It's almost tragic, but it seems like it's somewhat by design. Well, that wraps up this week. I guess the only other thing new to announce is social media edition of Instagram. So you can now find me on all socials as Coreum Concepts, all one word. And that's on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So yeah, if you're on Instagram, check it out. Putting some short clips up there. Some of these short clips, especially with Reza, are very important information. Please share them so people can hear this and understand what Coreum is trying to do here. And help everybody get ready for our snapshot coming up March 24th. So thanks again for stopping by. If you found some value in this video, please give a subscribe, like, share. And if you got comments, good, bad, or otherwise, please leave them in the comment box below. I go through them all and weed out some of the scammers that show up here. So I do my best. Thank you all for your support. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace and prosperity to you all.